Hey, what's up, man? Great to have you here. Am I right? Am I right? Yeah. Mix podcast now. What's up, guys? It's me, Aneesh, for the Mythology podcast here. So I have with me Dr. Stevens, who's majoring in Egyptian mythology, and I'm really interested in their beliefs and what they do. So take it away, Mr. Liam.
The Egyptians, so the myths come from the ancient Egypt, so a very long time ago, of course. They believed in afterlife, and the duat, so a duat is a word for the underworld, so they believed in the afterlife, and afterlife might be even more important to them than actual life. And Egyptian gods played roles to guide in their souls, the souls of the dead through afterlife. And they prepared the people for the journey in the afterlife. Something about that.
Yeah. So I know a little bit about Egyptian mythology, and I want to ask you if what I'm doing is right. So I know a little bit about the clothes. So I guess they were mostly made from linen because flax seeds were really readily available in the harsh Egyptian climate, and moreover, they valued jewelry more than the clothes themselves because they thought they would ward off evil spirits and help guide them to the afterlife. And also, the jewelry would symbolize their power and status in the Egyptian culture, and that's why they valued jewelry so much. And also, I heard that the scarab symbolized rebirth in Egyptian mythology. So that's one thing that I know now, I guess. So that's good. Thank you, Mr. Liam, for going on the podcast. Next up is Dr. Amen from Utah University. She has a major in Egyptian mythology, and she likes to look into gender roles in Egyptian culture. So that's up next. So here's Dr. Amen from Utah University. So I heard you're really into gender roles in Egyptian culture. So can you fill me in on that? Because I don't really know much about that.
Well, first of all, I would like to thank you for having me here. This is a great way to educate people about some really important stuff in Egyptian mythology. So first of all, I wanted to say that women in ancient Egypt were actually the equals of men in every area except for occupations.
Nice equality. That's very good.
Meaning, men fought, ran the government, and managed the farm, while women cooked, sewed, and managed the house. And while that may seem kind of backwards, women still exercised considerable power and independence. And according to my good friend, Egyptologist Barbara Watterson, in ancient Egypt, a woman enjoyed the same rights under the law as a man. What her rights were depended upon her social class, not her sex. All property descended in the female line, from mother to daughter. A woman was entitled to administer her own property and dispose of it as she wished. She could buy, sell, be a partner in legal contracts, be executor in wills and witness to legal documents, bring an action at court, and adopt children in her own name. In contrast, an ancient Greek woman was supervised by a kyros, or a male guardian. And many Greek women who lived in Egypt during this period, observing Egypt women acting without chiroi, were encouraged to do so themselves. In short, an ancient Egyptian woman enjoyed greater social standing than many women of other societies, both ancient and modern. So as you can see, Egypt was far ahead of its times. While women in other places were treated like property, ancient Egypt women were actually considered equal to men. They could they had the right to divorce, they had the right to the house if the men initiated the divorce, stuff like that. Even in their religion, their gods were both male and female, who were all equally important, unlike in Greek mythology where it was Zeus, Poseidon, and Hades who were all knowing. And women, they could marry whoever they wanted. It was never organized by like the men of the household. And even in today's world, abortions and birth control are a debated topic. However, in ancient Egypt, all women, married or unmarried, were given the right to abortion and birth control. And every myth in ancient Egypt culture more or less emphasizes the value of women. As my good friend Max Miller has clearly stated, no people, ancient or modern, have given women so high a legal status as did the inhabitants of the Nile Valley.
Very inspiring stuff, Dr. Amen. Thank you for letting me have you on the show. Next up is Dr. Devon. He's a good friend of mine. We go way back to kindergarten. Oh yeah, and he is with the beliefs and rituals of the ancient Egyptians. Why are all my friends doctors of ancient Egyptians? But you know, that's how life goes. So next up, Dr. Devon. Okay, it's me back again with the podcast. Well, before I said Devon was in beliefs and traditions, but he's just in traditions, you know. My oopsie, my big brain. Devon, take it away.
Hello there. Thank you for inviting me to your wonderful podcast.
Of course.
Okay. Anyway, I'm just gonna jump right into it.
Yep.
The Egyptians really started, invented, and continued a lot of different traditions from other mythologies.
Very nice.
Yeah, reply every time. So basically, the Egyptians did celebrate Easter, and one weird tradition that they do is wrapping the dead body in linen.
Ew. Disgusting, right?
Like mummification.
Oh, mummification. I love mummies. Like Thriller?
Moving on. They also did a lot of social drinking.
So all of them were alcoholics?
To an extent, yes.
Okay.
And they actually were, they were a very, ahead of their time mythology. So they, in fact, did also astrology.
Oh, very, very interesting.
Yeah. They also did some wrestling as a pastime.
Well, like WWE, was Roman Reigns fighting in Egyptian?
No.
Oh.
He's one. Anyway, moving on. They did have the wedding ring in their time. The calendar, which I believe they actually invented.
Oh, amazing.
Ciboa. The Nile.
They they invented the Nile?
So I didn't say they invented.
Okay, whatever.
They're a tradition.
Anyway, also the Eye of Hours.
You mean Horus?
I missed my last letter. The Eye of Horus.
Very nice. Thank you, Dr. Devon, for this very accurate information.
I'm sorry, what?
Okay, so guys, so we've picked one of the cream of the crop of Egyptian mythology, and we've stumbled upon Atum the Creator. So let's start off with Eamon to explain us the intro of the story.
So Adam the Creator is basically the first story in Egyptian mythology, you can say, because it's how everything came to be. So the introduction starts with Adam. He was the first thing to be created. He just created himself through the water. So he was very lonely. He just roamed, because Earth before was all water. So he just roamed the Earth alone. And so he created children. He created Shu. He was the dry air god. And then he created his daughter Tefnut, who was the moist air god. And together, Shu and Tefnut had two children called Geb, the earth god, and Nut, the sky god.
Very Alabama. So I've read this story many times, and the rising action would be that Geb and Nut are always together. They're always hand in hand, and they're never separating. And Shu becomes angry because when earth and sky are together, they're smushed together, nothing can grow in between. So he becomes angry, and he decides that nothing can grow in between them.
Because Shu and Geb are always together, nothing can go between them.
And Shu decides to do something.
Amen.
So what Shu decides to do is lift up Nut into the sky and never let her touch Gap. But the two siblings secretly meet up and have 5 children together.
This provided the Egyptian an explanation how the world started, and maybe calmed down some curious souls, and also this can symbolize the love between family, and that they have to do some bad things for good to happen to them.
That was the story of Adam the Creator.
Although the Egyptians did not have as much technology or as much social opportunities, they were still very similar to our modern culture. Let's start off with equality. Women were treated equally to men in Egyptian culture, and they were revered as much as men too. They were seen as important figures in their community, and they were respected. Now let's move on to their values. They valued the same things as us, like bravery, honesty, and truthfulness. And also, they were very nice people.
Archetypes. So Autumn is and his meaning is super heroic. Shu is also super heroic, and Geb romantic, and Nut or also I've heard that's pronounced new is romantic.
Very, very deep insights, Dr. Leon. Yep, very, very great.
New
Okay,
Nut.
thanks guys for listening to our podcast on Egyptian mythology. That was a great ride. We all had some fun. Next up on the mythology podcast, we're doing Fortnite. Yes, I'm cool, kids. Please accept me into your cult. See ya, everybody.
This was a really enlightening experience for me and all of my colleagues. Thank you, Aneesh, for having us here to express what we're interested about.
Okay, see you guys.